Welcome to the Manager Time and Attendance Training for ADP Vantage. Managers will access the ADP Vantage system to manage their employees' time, edit their employees' time cards, manage their employees' requests for time off, and manage schedules. After logging on to ADP Vantage, you can access your employees by clicking on My Team on the menu bar. Then you can access their time and attendance by clicking Time and Attendance. There are three options that managers would want to access: Daily Tasks, Quick Links, and Quick Find. It is highly recommended that the manager goes into Time and Attendance Daily Tasks on a daily basis to maintain their employees' schedules and their time. When accessing Daily Tasks, the manager will see three chevrons. They will also only be able to view the employees that report to them. In this case, I have two employees that report to me. On the first chevron, the Reconcile Timecard chevron, there is a table that indicates my employees' exceptions. The check marks indicate there were late ins, early outs, late outs, but nothing for unexcused, missed, or early ins. If I want to view my employees' time cards, I can either click on my employees one by one and view their time cards. I can view them all at the same time by clicking Select All and then clicking Go To. In the drop-down menu, I will see the option for time cards. By clicking on time cards, I'm able to view my employees' time cards. They will populate on an individual basis. If I wanted to maneuver to the other employee, I can click the arrow button next to the employee's name. I can also maneuver to another time period by clicking the down arrow and selecting a different time period. In this case, I'm going to view previous pay period. The employee's time card is now populated for that time period. The time card can maneuver or change the width of the columns by clicking like an Excel spreadsheet and moving the lines. Off to the right, you will see the employee's schedule. This employee is scheduled to work 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. In the time card, there are red exception flags for 6 different times. These red exception flags are populated because the punches were off the employee's schedule. So the employee was supposed to be at work at 8 a.m. on Tuesday, but his punch indicates he was in at 7 a.m. By right-clicking on that cell for time, the punch action screen will be indicated. By reviewing the punch action screen, you can see that the exception is an early in. This employee had to come in early that day, and I was aware of it. So I do not need to make any kind of edits to his time. Because of that, I will click Mark as Reviewed. By doing that, the red exception flag has now changed to green, indicating that I have reviewed that exception. If I look at the next exception on the time card, I can see that the employee on Wednesday has a punch for 3 p.m. That did not seem correct to me, so I went and verified with my employee, and he let me know that he actually left at 5 p.m., but punched the clock by mistake. I'm going to make a change to his time card by clicking on that cell and typing in 5p for 5 p.m. and hitting Enter. That now changed the time on his time card to 5 p.m. Any changes that are made to the time card have to be saved. By clicking Save, all the changes I made as the manager have now been saved. If the employee had left early for the day, I would be able to change his punch to a different time. For instance, if the employee had to go home sick and actually left at 2 p.m. on Thursday, I could click 2 p.m., hit enter, and if that employee wanted to take 2 hours of sick time, by clicking the X on the far left, we'll add another line. By clicking in the pay code column, a list of different pay codes will come up. I can search for sick, click on that, and then click the amount of hours that the employee took as sick time by clicking 2. Again, I would have to click save in order to save this. The employee may not have taken the 2 hours of sick time, or I made an error. I could also click the X to delete that row and then click save. If I'm done with this employee's time card, I can go back to the Daily Task tab by clicking on it. By clicking Next, I am brought to the Review Punch Exceptions chevron. Again, my 2 employees that report to me are indicated. This is another area where you can view employees' exceptions. By hovering over the different columns, a Details menu displays. By clicking on that, I will see the employee which had exceptions for that missed punch or exception. By hovering over the red exceptions, a description of the exception will be indicated. In this case, a laid out. You also have directions in this box that show what you can do to resolve the exception. By clicking to the next button, I will have the next chevron come up, which is the Manage Employee Requests. In this screen, anyone's time off request will be indicated, anyone who reports to me. This gives you an opportunity to view your employee's request for time off and either refuse them or approve them. In some cases, an employee may have decided that they do not want to take the time off that they requested, so you have the opportunity to retract it. Those buttons can be found up here. For instance, if I click on the first one and click Approve, a screen with more details of the request will be populated. This indicates that the employee is requesting a floating holiday on November 27th, starting at 9 a.m. for 8 hours. If I approve that, I would click Approve. I also have an opportunity to put in comments regarding the request. The comment screen might be most useful when a manager retracts an employee's request for time off. Again, I click the Retract button to view the employee's request, and understanding that we need coverage that day and those hours, I retract his request and type in the comments of the reason why it's being retracted. After going through the 3 chevrons for the daily tasks, I click Done, and a comment is displayed that the 3 steps of the daily task have been completed and it's okay, and I click that. It's not required that managers access this on a daily basis, but it is highly recommended. For approving time cards, you can access that through My Team Time Card Approval. I will make sure that my time period for the approval is accurate. Click Save, and will be brought to the next chevron by clicking Next. Again, another opportunity to review punch exceptions for the employees. If the manager wasn't accessing the daily tasks on a daily basis, this is another opportunity for that manager to review punch exceptions. Again, you hover over a column, click Details, and you will see the red indicated for any type of exceptions. Notice that one of them is in green. That is because I already marked it as approved time off or time punch in the previous daily tasks. Any changes that need to be made to the employee's time card can also be made here. Again, by clicking on the cell and typing in the change. Another way for managers to approve their team's time is by clicking My Team, Time and Attendance, then Time Card Approval on the menu bar. By clicking Time Card Approval, you will be brought to your reportables time cards. It is very important to select the time period that you need to approve. In my case, I'm going to approve the previous pay period and then click Save. To move to the next chevron, I click Next. Review punch exceptions is indicated for my reportables. By hovering over the columns, I have an opportunity to view the exceptions. For instance, under the column Out Punches, both employees have exceptions. By clicking Details, a summary of the employees' time cards with those exceptions will populate. So both employees' time cards are now showing for the days that they had exceptions in. By clicking View Time Card to the right of the employee's name, you can view the employee's full time card. This is another opportunity to make edits to an employee's time card. By accessing daily tasks on a daily basis, this part of the time card approval can be avoided for the most part. But if the daily tasks are not accessed daily, the manager might have to view the exceptions going through the time card approval. By viewing all the red exception flags quickly, as a manager, I know that the punches are accurate, and I'm not going to mark each of them as marked as review. That is only an option to make the manager's view of the time card cleaner. So again, I will click the tab Time Card Approval to get back to the time cards. Getting to the time cards on the next chevron, I click Next. This gives me the opportunity to approve time cards. The one employee's time card is indicated with an Approved Time Card menu at the top left. When I click on it, I have the opportunity to choose Approve Time Card or Remove Time Card Approval. Remove Time Card Approval is often used when a manager approves a time card and finds out shortly after that the employee needed an edit to their time card, such as a missed punch or sick day. You cannot remove a time card approval after the payroll has run. You can only do that before the time card has been processed by payroll. In this case, I'm going to approve the time card, and I get a message up at the top that says that the time card has been approved. It's also easy to see that the time card has been approved when it is highlighted in blue. I can now move to the next time card to approve and do the same thing. Click Approve Time Card and then Approve Time Card in the menu bar. Again, the message that it's been approved is indicated along with the time card turning blue. Again, I can click the Next button to move on to the next chevron. If I wanted to approve all time cards at once, I'd select all rows, approval, and approve time card. A message is indicated to make sure that I want to approve the time cards, because again, you cannot remove an approval once payroll is processed. So it's good to know whether or not your employees need any edits to their time card before you approve it. I click yes, and the time cards are approved. Clicking next, I move on to the next chevron, and this indicates that my time cards have been approved, completed status. Another important part of the manager's role is when their employees approach them and state that they have missed a punch for that day. Instead of going into the daily task or the time card approval to access the employee's time card, the manager can access the employee's time card by clicking My Team, Time and Attendance, Quick Find. Quick Find will populate and I will be able to type in my employee's name to view their time card. I double click on my employee's name and their time card is indicated for that week. If this particular employee punched back in from their meal break at 12:30, I could click on In Time for the day and type in 12:30 p.m., enter. Again, very important to hit save in order for the change to populate in the time card. And if the employee had to go home sick, you would add a line under the day they went home sick, click the pay code column once again, and select the reason they left and how many hours of sick time they would be paid by typing in 4 for 4 hours of sick time. Again, you would click save. If you have any employees that are union employees, under the transfer column, there are a selection of work rules that may need to be selected in order for the employee to be paid differential pay and such. You would click search work rule and you would search the list. The list of work rules that are available for each union will be the ones that are indicated to you. You will not access this large menu of work rules as you just saw me see. You will only have the ones that are pertinent apply to you. To get out of the time cards, you can click home and you will be brought to the main menu.